All right. Hello, viewers. Today I'm going to show you how to test and replace a bad Magneto on a Briggs overhead valve, but the flathead does this same kind of Magneto things. But anyway, so the tools needed are a 8mm or whatever the imperial size is. They both work. Just 8mm is the size I had. Ratchet. That's to pull off the Magneto, and then a 10mm ratchet to pull off the housing. You also need a 1/4 inch, like a screwdriver, just something, just so you can pull off the oil thing. Anyway, bad with names, so let's begin. All right, so we're going to start by, let me grab the oil thing. I'm extremely disorganized. Okay, so come around here. We're going to start by disconnecting this right here, because you don't want this to come out with the motor. So can you shine in down here? Let me grab the light. Alright, so see this right here? You got to pull this out. Now this is a 1/4 size, and that's simply because you don't want to pull out the oil check thing and get oil everywhere. Now, an easy place to store all of your items are in the foot pans, because it's worse. Now you're going to take your 10mm. You're going to start by, there's 2 on the back and 2 on the front. This is a 14.5 horsepower, but I believe the 12.5 and the 18s are very similar. Just break it loose, then come to the front. Break these ones loose. Now come to this back side over here. There's one more. Just break it. This one, for me, has been a bit tighter. I don't know how it'll be when you guys are doing this. Now that it's broken loose, they should come out by just pulling them out with your fingers. I'd recommend, if you don't want to cut up your hands, you wear mechanics gloves of some sort. I always lose mine, so that's not going to work out. And so we're just going to continue pulling this out. One second, let me get this one. You got to remember also this engine right here, it is not stock to this lawnmower. The engine that comes with this lawnmower is sitting on that table right there. This is a John Deere STX30. That's a Kohler Command 9 horsepower. It's the 12.5 horsepower with the smaller carburetor jet. All right, so now back to this. The time you're not going to have this much space to work with unless you pull the hood off. The hood doesn't go on over this engine, so I don't even bother. This is for a racing, well, not really racing, just off-roading kind of application. But the fuel tank, everything's hooked up pretty well. I'm going to upload a video at some point explaining exactly what I did. I was going to record it, but got excited and sort of went over it. Now, the Magneto on this engine, as you can already assume, is good. Simply because it was bad and I changed it out without thinking, let's record this for YouTube. Alright, so now you have the bolts out, you're going to pull this out. Now, I'm assuming by now that you don't have any spark. And so, if you don't have any spark, I'm going to just show you kind of what it's like. I'm going to pull start it real quick by turning off my kill switch. Or turning it on, really, because when you turn it on, it connects to the ground. That's what kills it. So, this pull starter right here, if you want to zoom in on it, is a design that I replicated based off of Fearless Front's YouTube channel. He just grabbed an idler pulley. This is a deck pulley off of a Cub Cadet. I just put a spray of paint over it, so probably wasn't the greatest idea. But this is what it's going to sound like if it's not firing, because it's not going to turn on. It's just not in gear. Yeah, so there's some minor things that have problems, but like you really need some space. The cord's a bit long. Could have made it shorter. So that doesn't have any spark. So there's a few things to test. Now what I'm going to show you right here is if you don't have a partner. If you have a partner, you come around here. You'll have them take the spark plug wire and hold it just like a bit away from, or it's really better if you have another spark plug, and hold it just a bit away from a ground, and then if it doesn't show spark, it's not getting spark. But if you don't, one way to do it is with a continuity test. So that's what we're going to take our, oh boy, did I just drop that? We're going to take our multimeter here, And you're going to take it and you're going to set it on ohms, this section, and put it on 20K. So when it's on 20K, all you do is you take the live, take the spark plug off, or I mean in this case I'm just going to put it on there. So anyway, so what you're going to do is take the, sorry about the gap there was a mishap in the filming. I'm just going to pull it off because it's easier. So you're going to put this, the red one in the live. Oh boy. Red one in a live. This is a bit more difficult than you'd think to do with just two hands because this isn't the stock one. Put red in hot and just ground it. It's real easy just to ground it on there. Now if you see my... that is weird. I don't know how this is working. Am I in the right setting? Okay, so there might be, this is a newer coil, so there might be something different, so just entirely ignore this. We're going to test the old one, wherever it went. I seem to have misplaced it. I bet it's in this card over here. So we don't have it. But if you have a stock engine, what you're wanting to do is that you're going to want it to display between 3 and 5. Now, the reason it was displaying 10 is unknown to me. I imagine it's because they switched suppliers. This is what the local parts store told me, and so it slightly looks different. When you go to get a new one, you're not going to want to order off Amazon. Try to find a local shop. You'll be supporting your local community. And also, if you give them the exact engine parts, you're going to get the right part. If you just order off of Amazon, it's very generic and they don't last. So now I'm going to explain how to... mine did show between 3 and 5. If it's showing between 3 and 5 and it doesn't have spark, change the spark plug. If it still does not fire up, there could be something weird because what you're measuring with the multimeter is continuity. And if it's got above 5, they say it's bad. If it's got below 3, they say it's bad. So you want it in between the range. Still, I can't explain why it was displaying 10. That is unknown to me. Oh, actually, one second. Let me check something. I have the kill switch on. Let's see if that affects it enough to turn off the spark. So now, make sure, make sure your kill switch is off when you're testing these. So hold it here, switch to 20,000, and now it's still displaying the same numbers. So must just be a due to the new manufacturing. Alright, so now you're going to take your, your 8mm drive, and you're going to back off the, this thing. Now, you just back the bolts out and you slide them out. So just to make it simpler and to save time here, I'm not going to pull it off. Now, to put it back together, when you buy one of these new ones, they're going to come with a, in the box, I've got sitting right here on the floor where it probably should not go. And you carry these cards. Now the cards are the optimal thickness for... Why do I absolutely lose everything? The optimal thickness for doing that. I will find that. We will continue with the video. So now that I did not find it. So one thing you can find is a simple business card, like this lawn mowing card right here, because it's still the same width. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, now come over here, zoom in on the part. Sorry guys, I'm not very skilled, so I need a cameraman. We're going to take the flywheel, spin it back a bit. We're going to pull these back. Now that they're pulled back, never mind, just spin it back to the magnets. It's easier, but pull it back, slide the card in, like that, between the magnets and the Magneto. And then once it's slid in right there, you're going to switch your tool to tighten. And you're going to go ahead and tighten it all the way down. Now this, make sure it's pushed forward. This gaps it at 0.01, which is the optimal for what Briggs recommends. Make sure this one's pushed forward. Right. Now that it's that, all you got to do is take your flywheel like this and spin the card out. Now it's gapped exactly where you need it. So once it's gapped, all you got to do is switch me sides. Is go ahead and connect the spark plug for ease of reinstallation. This clip right here, this metal piece, make sure you get this put on right or nothing else to go straight. Don't get this wire near that. That's a bad idea. If you run your kill wire like I am, don't run it along the flywheel. Choose like the gap right there. Slide it in. It'll keep this wire from hitting that and causing some major damage. So we're going to take the cover, slide it in between well, make sure that it goes over this part. It's got to go over this part. And then it'll slide in right there. Make sure you're still movement there so that this doesn't damage it. So now what I like to do is start by threading in the front ones. Like you got to line them up. As I said, it's a bit annoying. That metal piece. Line them up. Gosh darn. Just kind of twist it in. Because once these two are lined up, I've always had good luck with the back ones lining up themselves. It's just these front two are really obnoxious and annoying. Now, we're going to take the back two and twist them in. Now those two are twisting in. If you want to double, you can tighten these ones down while you're hand twisting in the back ones. It's not really very much more efficient, but it saves some time, I guess. And then kind of tighten those ones down. To the best of your ability. Really, you want them tight so that they don't back out and fall out. And you really don't want plastic, the flywheel fins right in that. And last but not least, don't lose this screw and make sure to put it back in. Otherwise you have the chance of your oil filler tube or check tube, whatever you like to call it, flying off. And that's not fun because then oil is going to spray everywhere and you're mowing or off-roading or racing, whatever it is you want to do with your mower, is going to fail. So now we get to test. Now that it's in, you got to turn your fuel on. Make sure your kill switch is in the off position or your key is in the run position. We're going to go ahead and take our pull rope, like I've got right here, and start up. Keep in mind, I'm going to turn the throttle down, that this is in no way a finished mower. You should not run your throttle like this. You need to have some form of safety protections other than just a kill switch, like a tether switch or something. But this is just put the motor in. I haven't finished anything yet. It's still a project. Keep you guys updated. So, wrap, and again, I got this idea off of Fearless Front's channel. You should check it out. He's got the cool stuff. Might take one or two pulls, simply because of it's just probably going to. It's pretty cool outside. So there's always a chance of it having an issue. Like if the choke's not on. Now that means it's on. Now one thing about this is I don't have an exhaust on. I had like a straight pipe because when I put the engine in I had to modify the exhaust. And then overly excited, oh I can see my breath. Overly excited I quickly goobered up something to make it quieter and that muffler fell off. So it's running open head right now, which is in no way a good idea. You need to wear hearing protection. With or with nylon. you got to make sure to have a kill switch installed. And when you're done, this engine had a fuel shut-off solenoid on the carburetor, but I don't have wires hooked up to. So you got to make sure if you don't have one of those, you have a fuel shut-off valve right there, so you don't spill gas everywhere like mine happens to do, and also so you don't flood the engine, get it in the oil. That's the death of these Kohler motors, is people tend to forget to shut off the fuel, and so they'll just they'll just increase how much fuel's in the oil until it reaches a combustion point, and then it will set up and burn up the inside of the motor. If you guys have any questions in the comments or would like to leave any tips and hints, just leave them below. Please like and subscribe. I spend a lot of time trying to research and get these videos right. If you have any more questions about magnetos that the installation that I might have forgotten, comment below. One more thing, if your magneto is, if you absolutely think the magneto is still good, you think your spark plug's good, check the spark plug gap, check the magneto, how far off of the flywheel it is, and if you absolutely have to, disconnect the kill wire. Now, this is in no way the safest thing to do. I'm not recommending that you do this. Actually, it's just better to replace the magneto, because if the magneto is bad, then you know it would have to be, or at least check the connections for the kill wire. But you have to make sure that if you absolutely need to, that you can still ground it, and never give power to the kill wire. If you give power to the kill wire, it will short circuit your coil and you'll be down $50, which is about the price of a new magneto. So in my next video, I will probably show you guys more about this mower, more about the motor engine change, swap, the things I did. If I can find the exact link, I'm going to try to. I probably right when I upload won't do it, but a little bit after, as I find the link after I upload. I'll put the link to Fearless Front's video on how to make one of these. He has a Murray racing mower that he swapped one of these engines into, and so that'll also help give you an idea of how to swap an engine. If you have a John Deere STX30, you're switching from the Kohler 9 horsepower to the Briggs and Stratton motors, you're going to have to bore out the engine mount holes just a bit, but I'll talk more about that in my next video. Thank you.